This is Texas News Now, sponsored by Germania Insurance.
Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Trayson Bragg. We're getting a look at some terrifying moments from inside a Tesla Cybertruck that nearly drove off an overpass near Humble. The Houston woman behind the wheel says she's suing, saying the truck was in full self-driving mode and wouldn't let her take control before the crash. Matt Doherty spoke with her attorney and shares the very latest.
And suddenly, like that, you realize, this car is going to kill me.
Plaintiff's attorney Bob Hilliard says his client did not have a chance to react.
But at the last second, she looked at the screen and realized the Tesla truck was not going to go right and it wasn't going to go left. It was going to go straight over the overpass.
According to court records, Justine St. Amour disengaged the full self-driving mode on her Tesla Cybertruck driving along the East Tex Freeway at the exit for the East Tex Park and Ride. But Hilliard says it was already too late.
Even a very alert driver who allows the truck to drive itself, like it says it can, can't go from passenger to emergency driver reaction, in the blink of an eye, and that's what Tesla expects.
The Cybertruck crashed into the concrete barrier, injuring St. Amour, Hilliard says. Luckily, her 1-year-old child inside the Cybertruck was not hurt. St. Amour is suing Tesla for more than $1 million. We contacted Tesla for a comment at the start of the week, but we still haven't heard back.
It is a driver assist Tesla, basically cruise control on steroids, but the marketing tells the driver that it is fully self-driving.
From West Houston, I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
Scary moments there, Matt. Thanks so much. All right, it's been over 2 weeks since a Brazos County mother was last seen, and now investigators believe she may be in danger. Authorities say 53-year-old Nicole Winder, who you see there, disappeared after her truck was found burned along FM 974 in Brazos County near an oil well. Anieli Ruiz headed to Bryan College Station to that area there and tells us what authorities are saying.
Investigators say they need the public's help. The goal is simple. They want to bring this mother home. It was here off of FM 974 in Brazos County back on February 25th, where investigators say the truck belonging to 53-year-old Nicole Winder was found burning.
They located a truck that was on fire that was parked on an oil well.
Deputy Nathan Dennis with the Brazos County Sheriff's Office says they immediately started trying to contact the owner, 53-year-old Nicole Winder.
Family and friends have not been able to contact her, didn't know where she was.
Hours before her vehicle was found, she was seen leaving work, and since then, not a trace.
Made us worry and be fear that she is in danger of death or anything like that.
Search crews have combed the area by land and air.
We've utilized helicopters, drones, Texas Search and Rescue.
And tonight, investigators say there might be one lead that could help. Someone riding an ATV near the area where a truck was found.
Maybe we can talk to whoever was operating that ATV and see if they even saw anything.
Investigators are also asking for any kind of footage in the area from that day, including those with dash cams could help solve what happened to Nicole Winder.
Do you guys think that she's still alive?
We hope that we are going to find her alive and that she's safe, but we have to prepare for everything and any possibility because this is very strange.
Well, they say Nicole is 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighs about 130 pounds. If you have any information, you're told to contact the Brazos County Sheriff's Office. By the way, Crime Stoppers here locally is offering a monetary reward. In Bryan, Texas, Anieli Ruiz, KHOU 11 News.
Anieli, thank you. Klein ISD parents are looking for answers after 3 separate gun incidents on district campuses last week. The most recent happened Friday at Klein High School, where the district says a student was caught with a gun. District officials say they are pressing charges in that case. It comes just days after court records show a 39-year-old man in tactical gear, armed with a handgun and a taser, entered Zwink Elementary's campus through an unlatched door. He ran off after being asked for ID. And earlier in the week, the district says a student accidentally fired a gun inside a bathroom at Klein High School. No one was hurt in any of the incidents, but parents say they're concerned.
To be honest, I wasn't sure if it's safe to bring my child back to school or not, but at the end of the day, we got to bring them to school. I've heard safety has picked up a little bit more with police officers and stuff, but that's still not enough.
The district says students involved are facing charges and have been expelled. Following the incidents, Klein ISD's police chief and superintendent shared a joint statement with families stating they are increasing security measures, including having more officers at each school, increasing the number of random metal detection screenings, and random searches with canine police units. All right, we're hearing from more potential victims after the arrest of a Sugar Land mail carrier earlier this week, accused of stealing dozens of pieces of mail and checks. One man says thousands of dollars meant for him ended up in the wrong hands. Jason Miles shares the very latest details.
We're hearing from another potential victim of mail theft after the arrest of a mail carrier who worked at this post office in Sugar Land. Joe Crawley reached out after seeing our coverage of 32-year-old Jalen Mouton's arrest while in his USPS uniform. Police say they found 226 pieces of mail in his personal vehicle, including 66 checks, all tied to more than 50 different potential victims. In Crawley's case, a $6,000 printed check destined for East Texas ended up getting cashed near Dallas with an altered recipient's name on it.
It was cashed at an Ace check cashing place just outside of McKinney, Texas. I'm like, man, I don't know anybody up there. That's not where the check was supposed to go. So I was kind of, puzzled about it.
Right now, Sugar Land police, along with postal inspectors, continue to investigate Mouton and others he may have been working with in what detectives say could turn out to be a broader mail theft and fraud scheme.
Jason, thank you. Right now, Texas Senator Paul Bentoncourt is calling for the resignation of Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo after an incident at Tuesday night's rodeo where she was escorted off the premises. Bentoncourt calls Hidalgo's behavior, quote, bizarre, and says it raises questions about her judgment as head of Harris County's Emergency Management Office. He's now calling on her to step down after her reaction to being denied access to the rodeo chute area. Bentoncourt says the incident could also lead to legislative action. All right, that's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Trayson Bragg.
In Austin, I'm Daranisha Heron. Time is running out for families to apply for the state's new Texas Education Freedom Account program. The application deadline is Tuesday the 17th, and more than 174,000 students have already applied. Starting next school year, students in the program will get to use taxpayer dollars to help pay for private school tuition. Only 90 to 100,000 students are expected to get into the program this year. As Daniel Perot reports, Texas leaders are facing new lawsuits over the program.
As applications pour in for the state's new program to help pay private school tuition,
Education Freedoms accounts were set up for every single child across the great state.
One group of Texans says they're still left out. 4 Muslim parents and 3 private schools have filed federal lawsuits alleging Texas leaders are excluding them because of their religion. Some Muslim schools say they were approved but later removed with no explanation, while others say they've not been able to apply.
0 Muslim schools have been allowed to be on that list.
Muslim State Representative Salman Bojani was among a group of Democrats who sent a letter to Acting Comptroller Kelly Hancock last month, warning excluding schools with no proven ties to terrorism opened the state up to legal problems.
It's just unconstitutional, so we should not be doing this.
In January, the AG's office ruled the comptroller can exclude schools after Hancock raised concerns about schools affiliated with the Chinese government or that hosted events organized by the Council on American Islamic Relations, which Governor Abbott has declared a foreign terrorist organization. The U.S. State Department has not designated the organization as a terrorist group. In a social media post Thursday, Abbott said school choice funds should not go to radical Islamic indoctrination with historic connections to terrorism.
We need to eradicate them from our public institutions. No more teacher training. No more where we're doing these world cultures and things like that, where we're bringing in content from hostile foreign nations. We have got to clamp down on that.
Mandy Dragan with the Texas Public Policy Foundation says the exclusions are not about targeting a religion.
This is about a national security issue, and Americans must take this growing threat seriously.
A legal battle over constitutional rights after families and schools say the state froze them out.
Thank you, Daniel. A newly formed group is pushing back against plans for a major expansion of Mopac in South Austin. The $825 million plan calls for adding more express lanes between Cesar Chavez Street and Slaughter Lane. KVUE's Kelsey Sanchez has a closer look.
Jumping on the Mopac freeway and heading south is a nightmare for some Austinites.
It is ruining my life.
Well, traffic's been really bad. I've lived here all my life since like 2008, and it's only gotten worse.
Right now, there are express lane entrances and exits going south near Cesar Chavez and 5th Street. But if you drive farther, it's mostly stop and go. It's a problem the Central Texas Regional Mobility Authority has been hoping to fix for years. The project, called Mopac South, wants to add 2 new toll lanes in both directions of traffic between Cesar Chavez and Slaughter Lane.
We have to do something to fix the traffic. It's not fair for us Austinites to have to spend so much of our lives sitting around in cars just because the infrastructure hasn't kept up.
The Mobility Authority recently published a public environmental study outlining how the expansion won't have significant impacts. But some aren't buying what's being sold.
The agency's environmental document that's out for public comment right now completely ignores the damage that would happen in 5 to 7 years of construction, when there's massive erosion and runoff problems from the construction project itself.
On Thursday, Save Our Springs Alliance unveiled the Better Mopac Coalition, teaming up with other environmental and transportation groups to push back against the project. Save Our Springs Executive Director Bill Bunch argues there are other options.
Right now, they're only looking at do this or do nothing. So right up front, we could do a trial rush hour high occupancy vehicle, HOV lane, in the center lanes that would only operate during rush hour that would improve traffic flow.
KVUE reached out to the Mobility Authority about the formation of the coalition. A spokesperson wrote, quote, "The Central Texas Regional Mobility Authority respects the role that community organizations play in regional transportation discussions, and we welcome input from all interested stakeholders in the region."
There will be a public hearing to discuss the plan for Mopac on March 24th at Bowie High School. In the meantime, there is public comment open on the Mobility Authority's website. Anyone can submit a comment until May 3rd. The Downtown Austin Alliance took advantage of road closures for South by Southwest over the weekend. They're giving Austinites car-free streets to explore the area's parks and art installations. The Art and Parks Tour rolled out of Waterloo Park downtown Saturday morning. It's the 5th year for the free bike ride. It's always on South by's first Saturday. Hundreds of Austinites rolled along the 4-mile route. This tour features stops at Brush Square and the new Unity Underpass by Longhorn Dam.
Before, this is a very parks heavy tour this year. There's so much art that's popping up in and around the art route. So I'm really excited to see things that even I don't know are there, because things pop up every single day. Yeah, especially
which is good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
The tour also offered pedicabs for people not able to ride bikes. Now to Williamson County, where Hutto's famous hippo mascot is getting a name, and the community gets to decide what it is. KVUE's Jose Alonso shows us how the city's love for hippos began and the search for an official name.
It's a familiar figure to the public and can be seen across the city of Hutto.
Hippo pride, that's what we're all about. We represent ourselves through these little hippos all over. You see them in front of people's houses, in front of restaurants, gas stations.
That includes Chris Auditory's own family business, Happy Panini.
So the hippo is kind of a reminder, of who we are and where we came from, and what we're all about.
The hippopotamus has represented the city for more than a century. That's according to Abby Fenton with the city, She explains the folklore.
All the way back to the 1900s when a circus train came to town and a hippo escaped from it.
But there's a jaw-dropping hypocrisy in this pride because the city mascot doesn't have an official name. But that'll soon change.
Our very creative communications team came up with doing a bracket-style competition like March Madness that the NBA does. And so we're calling it Mascot Madness. We're going to start with a bracket of 16, then go down to 8, then 4, then finals, and then we'll finally reveal our name.
The mascot can be seen on the city's social media page, hypoventilating on the dilemma.
I think this is a fun way for us to honor our history and celebrate who we are and have some pride that we live here in Hutto.
As far as what the official name will be, well, Auditory has an idea.
I think any name with a H would be pretty catchy. I don't know which ones would come with that. Maybe Henry, Harry, I don't know. I think anything double H, HH, I think that'd be a good option.
It's a battle of the hippos until an official title is given by this community. In Hutto, Jose Alonso, KVUE News.
That's all from us here in Austin. Have a great day.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jesse Hawila with WFAA in Dallas. And as we look across the state, everybody's cooler and breezy on Monday. We had a very strong cold front roll through the state on Sunday, and it brought very windy conditions. Parts of the Panhandle, parts of West Texas, even parts of North Texas saw winds in the 50 to 70 mile per hour range. And that extended even farther south into parts of Central Texas and then Southeast. Now, as we take a look at Tuesday, pleasant weather will eventually build back in. I say Monday's not a bad day, just a little on the chilly side. Wednesday, we start warming back up, and we warm up in a big way by the time we get to the end of the work week. Take a look. Amarillo, 50 degrees on Monday, but look at the warm up. All the way up to 87 degrees by Wednesday afternoon. We have dry weather across the state, not only over the next 3 days, but the rest of the week and next weekend. We have warmth and dry weather building into the state. You'll see as we get into the end of the week, we'll start talking 90s. For a lot of areas, including North Texas. You can already see Amarillo by Wednesday, 87, getting close. El Paso's at 88 degrees, so that warmth is coming from the west and southwest, and temperatures start warming up for the middle of the week in Houston, Lubbock, San Antonio, and Waco. A lot of sunshine this week. It'll be nice, a little bit breezy and cool, though, on Monday, like we said here. Corpus will even be in the middle 60s by Monday afternoon. Let's talk winds, because wind was such a humongous story for everybody in Texas on Sunday. As the cold front rushed through the area, we saw those winds of 50 to 70 in parts of the Panhandle. Big dust storm out toward Quanah. North Texas saw wind gusts of around 60. They're better on Monday, but still breezy. Okay, it's just not as intense of wind. So if we look here Monday afternoon, wind gust 25 to 30 miles an hour in the eastern half of the state. A little bit lighter out in the Panhandle and parts of West Texas Monday afternoon. And then as we get into Tuesday, we'll start to see some lighter winds settle in. That'll be a nice break for many, but in the afternoon they start to pick back up again. We'll start to see winds kind of in the 15 to 25 mile per hour range for much of the state, including the Concho Valley, Big Country, up to the Panhandle, into North Texas, into Southeast Texas as well. And then on Wednesday, fairly manageable winds, I would say, 10 to 20 miles an hour. Still a little bit breezy in the afternoon. Temperatures, though, that's a big story. We've had a very warm start to the year across the state. We had that 1 week of winter in January, and then the rest of the state has been very warm. But tomorrow, Monday, I should say, it'll be in the 50s in DFW, 53 degrees, 59 in Houston, 66 in Austin, 56 in Texarkana, 69 San Angelo, and Abilene 69, Midland 72, and Big Bend 71. Then another pretty big drop by Monday night into early Tuesday morning, where temperatures fall to 35. DFW, 34 Waco. Could even see a freeze here in northeast Texas. Texarkana, 30 degrees. I would say Tyler should expect temperatures in the lower 30s as well. Lubbock, a freeze, 32. Amarillo, 36. Midland, 35. And El Paso in the mid-40s. One thing that will be lacking over the next week or more, I'd say 7 to 10 days, look dry. We look dry across all of Texas over the next week or so. That's not great. We're in some pretty deep drought here across the area. If you go down into South Texas, that's where you'll find the worst of the drought. The worst of the drought is extreme to exceptional, which is the higher levels of drought. If you get out into parts of the hill country, some improvements have been made, but out towards San Antonio, you can see a little bit closer to Fredericksburg here, the moderate severe drought category, but get a little bit deeper in north of Del Rio, a little bit better. East Texas, severe drought there. Out in the Panhandle, also severe drought. Again, we're not making any improvements in that department as we look at the forecast across the state. West Texas, Monday, cool, temperatures only in the 40s. That's it. Lubbock, partly sunny, 49, 74 on Tuesday, but look how fast we warm up. In West Texas, we go from temperatures in the 40s in Lubbock on Monday to almost 90 degrees by Wednesday. Central Texas, Austin, Waco, Fredericksburg, again, a nice warm up, a little bit steadier rather than abrupt like we're seeing in West Texas. But Central Texas, close to 80 degrees with lots of sunshine for the middle part of the week. South Texas, San Antonio, Corpus, and Laredo. Beautiful weather, I would say. Corpus, you'll be in the upper 70s by Wednesday. That'll be a humid 78, of course. In Laredo will be a dry 87 by Wednesday. Lots of sunshine there in South Texas. Here in North Texas, where we're recording this, DFW, 52 Monday, 67 Tuesday, Wednesday 78. Weatherford, 52, 67 as well on Tuesday. East Texas, Houston, Beaumont, and Tyler, you'll be in the 50s and 60s Monday and Tuesday, and then in the 70s by Wednesday. And then in the Valley, McAllen, Brownsville, Mission, breezy on Monday in the wake of that cold front. Then we start warming back up all the way into the low to mid 80s by Wednesday.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
I'm Teresa Woodard. Here are your headlines from North Texas. A family is heartbroken after their beloved dog was shot and killed. It happened in Alvarado, about a half-hour drive south of Fort Worth. Richard Solomon spoke with the family about a reward to help track down whoever did it.
Sit. Sit.
At the Samix home in Midlothian, man's best friend isn't just a pet.
Pistol.
It's a part of their family.
Come here, Pistol.
This is Pistol. She's normally more playful than this, but the reason why is why they sat down with me.
He was the sweetest, kindest dog.
Their 4-year-old basset hound named Sheriff, the same age as their daughter.
So that's the purpose of why we got him, and now that was cut short.
On February 25th, Catherine and Dalton Samix say someone shot and killed their beloved dog. Catherine says it happened while both dogs were spending time at her mother's home in Alvarado. Police tell us it happened between 10:30 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon.
He was hit once in his back near his spine, and then once in his shoulder that went through his chest. So that one ultimately killed him and went right through his heart.
Just think if it was your animal that got taken away from you.
Police say Sheriff was shot at least 3 times with a high-powered air gun. The family tells me they believe this was done intentionally.
Somebody who did it either leaned over the fence or climbed up over the fence. He was deliberately shot.
The Samix say the nonprofit organization SPAC of Texas is helping the family, and the reward is now up to $5,000.
At this point, I think I'm angry now, and I want to find out who did it.
Sheriff wasn't just a dog, you see. He was family.
Miss you, friend.
And they say they won't stop until someone is held responsible.
Making sure that the person who did this isn't out there able to do it again.
In Midlothian, I'm Richard Solomon.
9 people tied to the July 4th attack on an ICE detention center are now awaiting sentencing. A jury found them guilty on multiple charges. Here's Scoop Jefferson now with reaction to that verdict.
A federal jury in Fort Worth convicted 9 people, prosecutors claiming they exposed a North Texas Antifa cell. Their defense attorneys say it was peaceful protest.
They went out there to do a noise demonstration, and as I stated in my closing, showcasing some of Mahdi's statements to provide a fourth outside of the facility.
Prosecutors told jurors the group arrived at the Prairieland ICE Detention Center last July 4th, dressed in black, armed with guns, fireworks, and explosives, then vandalized the center. Benjamin Song, the accused leader, fired the shot that injured an Alvarado police officer responding to the scene. Song, guilty of attempted murder of a police officer, discharging a firearm, and several other federal charges. His 8 co-defendants convicted on a range of charges, including rioting, providing material to support terrorism, and weapons and explosives offenses.
I thought she might have a chance on conspiracy. There's no way they established anything else.
The defendants' family and friends outside the courtroom every day with signs and banners.
A peaceful protest, if you consider that a riot, I don't know what the definition of a riot is anymore.
No comments from federal prosecutors after the verdict, but FBI Director Kash Patel wrote, "Acts of violence against our law enforcement partners will not be tolerated, and we continue our work to protect communities across the country from domestic terrorism." Now, Benjamin Song facing 20 to life in prison.
I know the jury did their very best.
I'm disappointed, but the jury has spoken, and we move forward.
For now, the defendants will remain in custody, back in court June 18th for sentencing. In Fort Worth, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
Some of the people watching the military operations in Iran the closest are the parents and families of the servicemen and women putting themselves in harm's way. A Fort Worth woman knows this struggle all too well, but she has found a way to unite concerned moms and dads. And as Kevin Reese shows us, her reasons for doing it are personal.
I don't go out. Come here. It's too draining. I'm an introvert. I'm happy being at home.
Happy and content until the day Denise Bush
I was devastated.
watched her son, her baby,
All I did was cry and be scared. I was a nervous wreck.
leave Fort Worth to join the Navy.
It was terrible having an empty nest.
And the best therapy this introvert can find.
He's a therapy dog. That's what he thinks he is.
With 2 dogs named Cutie Pie and a pug named Mr. Wednesday.
He watches and makes sure I do what I'm supposed to.
Is to sit in her easy chair and crochet.
I crochet every day. It's helped me not worry. I tell you what it is doing, it's keeping me sane.
And it dawned on her one day that maybe there were other moms worried sick just like her.
God said, hey,
and in need of a stitch of sanity too.
I want you to make scarves for all the Navy moms that want one.
She found a Facebook group for military moms, offered to crochet personalized scarves for free.
They all feel exactly like you do, whether you know it or not.
And that was about 500 scarves ago.
I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am in Saratoga Springs, Utah. I am currently living in Alaska.
Military moms across the country
I wear it every day to work.
proudly wear the gift of a Fort Worth introvert.
When I put this on, it's like, just reminds me that they're going to be okay.
For all the world to see.
To be able to walk around my hometown and have this with me, it's like taking my babies with me everywhere I go.
They're very simple stitches, but somehow, I think it's magic when it gets to the mom and the mom puts it on. It looks beautiful to me too, and moms are so happy.
But there was a happiness that Denise was desperately seeking too. She's an introvert for a reason.
And it's considered a manageable form of leukemia.
Yes.
Acute lymphocytic leukemia, a treatable form of that disease. But 30 years ago, her own mom got the exact same diagnosis, one that made her so distraught that Nancy Calloway ended her own life.
She hadn't learned a way to cope with that kind of news, right?
And there wasn't a lot to be done. You just got sick and passed 30 years ago.
Which was when I noticed.
Yep, she's always here.
Her mom was in the room with us.
She would like that I was doing these. She would tell me how beautiful they are and how proud she is of me.
That pride and the sanity Denise is looking for.
There is a healing to the crocheting for sure.
Is giving her something to live for with every stitch.
It makes me feel connected to the military moms. I know they miss their kids too.
Denise, I adore you.
Miss Denise, you are a blessing. What she's weaving here, she's connecting us.
We're a whole village. We support each other, and wearing this just reminds me every day that no matter how hard my day is, there's so many other moms going through the same thing.
I feel so blessed that they like them.
So in that corner of a small house in Fort Worth, with a sometimes snoring pug keeping guard, Denise Bush keeps crocheting and connecting a family of military moms while mending the frayed pieces.
It's more of a blessing to me than it is to them.
Of her own life, too.
Mr. Wednesday, you can't get pug hair on here.
In Fort Worth.
Come on.
I'm Kevin Reese.
Community can heal. Those are your headlines from North Texas.
I'm Bill Churchwell in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening in South Texas. Port Aransas police are investigating a late-night shooting this spring break that left 5 people injured. Officers say the violence happened just before midnight Saturday on Mustang Island. The fight broke out between 2 groups before a firearm was pulled and multiple shots were fired. The 5 people struck were taken to the hospital. Their conditions have not yet been released. Police say officers were able to track down the gunman just a few hours after the shooting and make an arrest.
The Corpus Christi Police Department and one of our police officers were able to locate and take into custody 1 male suspect that was charged with 5 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Police have identified the suspect as Ernesto Castillo of San Antonio. He's facing 5 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And as we continue our coverage on the region's water crisis, we're also looking at how it could impact the housing market, as some families considering a move to the coastal bend are raising water questions. Our local real estate experts say that while there's no specific data yet to make a connection, it is a concern for some buyers. Natalia Osuna reports.
As city and state leaders in Corpus Christi race against the clock to save the region's water crisis, some realtors say it could impact the housing market.
Questions that we've gotten is how the city is trying to overcome this obstacle. Also, one of the concerns is how am I going to water my yard? How am I going to maintain my pool?
Justin Colmenero at Prime Real Estate says questions like these are coming up more and more.
Being on a coastal community, that is something that a lot of buyers come down here to utilize is our water, and we're running out. It's very much a strong concern that is determining whether or not they're going to call the coastal bend their home.
On top of that, realtors might now have to take an additional step through formal disclosure.
A standardized form that lets us educate buyers coming into our area that we're in a drought and that there are certain water restrictions that we have in place.
Coral Carey with the Coastal Bend Association of Realtors says these trends are something to keep an eye on.
I think there's a lot of concern. A lot of people are still watching very carefully what our state and local leaders are doing. But I don't think that's really motivating people, to move out of our area at this time.
While that hasn't yet become a concrete pattern, Carey says water remains top of mind for prospective buyers.
Homes are worthless if we do not have a reliable water source.
And for homeowners.
Our advocacy here with our association is really rooted in protecting homeowners' rights. And that includes, being focused on our leaders being able to provide that reliable and responsible source of water.
Corpus Christi City Councilman Mark Scott says this has also come up during conversations with investors.
People want to know, if I'm going to make a big investment in Corpus, do I have water?
His message to them, not to count the city out just yet.
Curtailment in November, but if we bring on the Western Wellfield, it moves into May of next year, and if we bring on the Ed Rochelle Foundation property, it moves it out to the future.
Natalia Osuna, 3 News.
And although discussions on that disclosure form are still in the works, Corpus Christi realtors tell us they don't want to meet buyers with negativity, but rather transparency. And that is a quick look at some of what's happening here in South Texas.
I'm Adriana Alexander. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A new state rule takes effect in less than 3 weeks. Hemp businesses say it could force them to close their doors. It's a move that bans smokable hemp flower starting at the end of the month. Our Juliana Jackson spoke with the owner of Treehouse Dispensary in Waco and Temple. She has more on the new rule.
Callan Salganick opened Treehouse Dispensary to fill a need for customers. But on March 31st, Texas is changing the rules.
Full spectrum hemp flower is 70% of our sales. So it's going to be a devastating hit.
Full spectrum hemp flower carries a full range of cannabinoids, including CBD, CBG, and THCA. Under current state law, hemp is legal as long as Delta-9 THC stays below 0.3%. But a new rule from the Texas Department of State Health Services is adding THCA to that formula. Almost every smokable hemp product on the market will instantly become illegal.
We have customers that suffer from a lot of different things, and hemp flower is really, for a lot of them, the only thing that works. So it's, you know, not only am I concerned about my business, but also my customers too.
Salganick says he supports parts of the new regulations, from child-proof packaging, full panel lab testing, and a hard 21 and up sales requirement, but says they weren't given a grace period to adjust.
I've been given these rules as a March 31st effective date, and a lot of these rules, packaging, things like that, we don't have time, you know, to comply.
Salganick says the billion-dollar hemp industry is being set up to fail.
I believe personally a lot of people are, instead of getting their flower from us, they're going to go to the black market, right? And these are products that aren't tested. These are fueling cartels. These are, you know, fueling criminal organizations. And so I just don't think it makes sense.
Salganick is holding out hope that lawmakers and the agency will reconsider. But if they don't, he says the decision is already made for him.
These rules go into effect as they are. We're absolutely going to have to close down at least one of our locations. I hope to be able to keep the rest open, but at the same time, you know, that's a real risk.
Juliana Jackson, 6 News.
Now, this rule is separate from the state's ban on THC vapes, which has been in effect since last September. For some small businesses, driving to job is essential to making a living, meaning higher gas prices are costs they can't avoid. I spoke with one Central Texas landscaper who says rising gas prices has forced him to make changes, all in an effort to stay profitable. It's hustle and bustle every day for Jonathan Garcia since he opened his landscaping company, JG Lawn Care Waco.
I've been in business now for going on 2 years.
He and his 3-man crew travel across Central Texas, handling both residential and commercial yard work. This means their trucks, trailers, and lawn equipment are constantly on the road.
18 to 24 properties a day. Now with 2 setups, it's costing double, you know, so we're definitely feeling it for sure.
Gas prices have had its impact on the business as costs have been increasing since the recent U.S. military strikes in Iran.
On average, it takes about $300 a day just to fill everything up. Sometimes we're actually filling up, depending on the properties that we do. If it's our, you know, big properties, we're filling up 2 to 3 times a day.
Like many business owners, Garcia has been forced to make some tough decisions impacting his customers.
Unfortunately, yeah, we're already raising prices.
And employees.
We've narrowed down employees so that we could, you know, afford to keep going.
As they continue maneuvering with the constant changes in gas prices, he says he and other small business owners are especially thankful for the support from their customers.
I'm lucky enough to have the customer base that doesn't question. But like I said, whenever they see, hey, you know, you went up a little bit, it is costing us a little more to fill up every day. As a small business, we're basically just doing what we can to make it, and you know, the quality of our service is, of course, important, and what gives us our drive, what allows us to keep bringing customers in for sure.
Now, Garcia says he hopes gas prices don't climb much higher, but for now, he and his crew plan to keep pushing through the extra costs to continue serving their customers. And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
for insurance you can trust. Help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
I'm Vanessa Croy, and here's the news in San Antonio. A tragic mistake behind the wheel leaves a woman dead. Investigators say an Uber driver was turning onto Bandera from West Quill Road Saturday afternoon when he hit the gas instead of the brakes. Officers say the victim, described as a woman in her mid-30s, was standing nearby holding an advertising sign. Police say she died at the scene. They tell us the driver stayed on the scene and is cooperating. Right now, investigators say no charges are expected. 2 people gunned down in a Northwest Side neighborhood, and police say the accused shooter is still on the run. This was the scene just after 12:30 Sunday morning off the 5900 block of White Cloud. That's near 410 and Callahan. Investigators say 2 people walked up to the house and then some kind of argument broke out with the man inside. Well, police say that man pulled out a gun and then shot both of those people. The 2 victims were rushed to the hospital, police say, with life-threatening injuries. The suspected shooter took off and has yet to be arrested. A man claimed he shot and killed a stranger in self-defense after a confrontation at a West Side bus stop. But investigators say surveillance video from a Via bus told a very different story. And now 26-year-old Armando Rodriguez Jr. is facing charges in the death of 40-year-old Gregorio Garza. It happened on February 27th near West Commerce and Zarzamora. According to an arrest warrant, Rodriguez told police on the scene the victim lunged at him after a heated argument. But detectives say after looking at surveillance video from that bus, they uncovered a story that didn't line up with what Rodriguez told them. They say he pulled out a gun on Garza when they got off the bus and then just started shooting. According to that warrant, Garza was running for his life as Rodriguez continued to shoot at him. San Antonio police say a teen accused in a series of drive-by shootings targeting the same house left a trail of evidence on Instagram that eventually helped detectives crack that case. This is 17-year-old Porfirio Garza. In the last 3 months, police say he shot up the same West Side house 4 times. After the second shooting, the homeowner installed cameras that identified Garza's car, but detectives say the break in the case actually came from social media. Detectives say other videos on Instagram showed Garza holding the same type of gun and even recording himself at a nearby gas station next to the car and holding the same gun as the shootings. Investigators say those shootings left 2 people inside fearing for their lives, but thankfully no one was hit. A motive and why that same house was targeted is still unknown. A split-second decision to save a woman's life after a fire ripped through a Southeast Side home, trapping a woman inside. And before firefighters even got to the scene near Goliad and I-37, the man who jumped into action says he was meant to be there. He's sharing those terrifying moments only here on KENS 5.
As I rolled up on my bike, I saw thick smoke billowing out of every crack.
Larry Hilburn says he had just arrived at his friend's Southeast Side home when he saw smoke pouring out of the house.
The smoke was thick. It was coming out thick at the bottom of the doorway, so it had already pushed all the air out.
That's when he says he heard a voice inside.
And when I opened the door, she came out holding 4 kittens and collapsed. Like, I'm just lucky that we were able to get her away from the house before it started to really catch fire.
Seconds later, the fire fully engulfed the home as fire crews raced in to battle the flames.
She couldn't see anything, so she couldn't find her way out until I yelled, and she said, "Open the door." Didn't even think once. Just acted.
The woman Hilburn knows as Maggie was taken to the hospital suffering from smoke inhalation. But fire officials say her injuries are not life-threatening. Hilburn says he's just thankful his friend made it out.
I just thank the Lord for putting me in the right place at the right time. That's all.
New details after a fiery chain reaction crash on I-35 sent several people to the hospital. It happened just after 9 Friday morning on the northbound lanes of I-35 near Pine Street. Investigators say a box truck slammed into the back of an 18-wheeler, causing the semi to catch fire. The impact then setting off a chain reaction involving several other vehicles. Police say at least 4 people were rushed to the hospital, including the driver of that box truck who suffered serious injuries. Police say the cause of the crash is still under investigation. Authorities have now identified the man accused of leading deputies on a motorcycle chase across 2 hill country counties. It was a pursuit that ended when a deputy shot and killed that man after investigators say he pointed a gun at a deputy. Investigators say the pursuit started in Gillespie County and ended off I-10 in Kerr County. They say that when the motorcyclist finally stopped, he pulled a gun and pointed it at a deputy. Well, that deputy opened fire, killing the rider. Officials have now identified him as 45-year-old Richard Stover. Deputies also say the motorcycle involved had been reported stolen out of Canada. The Texas Rangers are now leading the investigation, which they say remains ongoing. 2 people have been indicted in the death of a toddler in Hondo. Hondo police say that back in 2013, they discovered 17-month-old Adrian Cantance not breathing. The toddler later dying at a hospital. Hondo police say since then, several internal policies about evidence management were enacted, leading to the case's review. A grand jury indicted Marissa Lopez and Isaac Nera for injury to a child after that case was re-examined. Lopez was arrested last week. Nera is serving time already on an unrelated charge. And that's your news here in San Antonio.
Here, headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Ebony Coleman. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office is thanking viewers like you for helping them identify suspects from a series of car burglaries and thefts. It's shaking the small community of Bevel Oaks. 12 News reporter Daniela Taboada-Plow spoke to residents who had their cars hit and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office about the case.
Late Monday night, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says 2 suspects tried to get into several cars in Bevel Oaks.
We have two people that's been possibly identified.
Residents say the community is typically quiet.
It's a pretty peaceful neighborhood.
But after a series of burglaries, some residents, like Juanez Mas, are on edge.
I was concerned since I was so close, 1 street over.
One resident that was hit by the suspects was Bevel Oaks council member Roger Minette.
Oh, they did actually come in up into my driveway.
Minette said although the suspect did not get into his car, they did get into his neighbor's car.
They turned the corner and went to my next door neighbor's house and was able to get a few things out of his girlfriend's car and out of his truck. Honestly, I could not believe it. I was very shocked. Because it's not a normal situation for our city.
Home surveillance footage was sent to the Sheriff's Department, helping to identify the 2 suspects. Chief Dante Miller with the Sheriff's Office is asking people to file reports, no matter how small.
We urge the community to look at their videos, or if they had anything missing in between that time. It can be the very smallest thing that they don't think that was a big deal. But that was a big deal to us because their doors was open and someone entered into their vehicles.
That was Daniela Taboada-Plow reporting. Chief Miller says the suspects also hit parts of Beaumont. And as the weather starts warming up, Beaumont Animal Care is urging you to be careful around bats this spring. Officials say 2 bats that were found in the city over the past 3 months tested positive for rabies. If you see one on the ground or in your home, don't touch it and call animal control right away. Viviana Lopez explains why it's so important to get help if you come in contact with the bat.
Rabies is 100% fatal if you do catch rabies and you do not seek treatment for it. So that's why you want to make sure if you do come in contact, if a rabies positive animal has bitten you, that you do go to the vet to seek treatment as soon as possible.
She also says this doesn't only apply to bats. All kinds of animals come out during warmer weather. If you're bitten or scratched by a raccoon, possum, or any other critter, get help immediately. And comments on our 12 News social media pages have been blowing up about the recent animal control issues in Silsbee. It comes after a city council meeting. Another one is planned, and 12 News will be there so we can tell you what the city plans to do next. It comes after the bodies of several euthanized dogs were found, and a former animal control officer was charged with a single account of improper euthanasia. In Southeast Texas, Veterans for Veterans hosted a stand-down event in Lumberton, offering much-needed assistance to local vets and their families. These free events are held all across the Golden Triangle throughout the year, from Jasper to Beaumont and to Port Arthur.
We like to bring everyone together so the veterans can have a one-stop shop, find out what benefits they have earned, what benefits they can apply for, what type of medical, mental, any type of medical help in those senses, what's available in their community so that they don't have to travel to Beaumont or go to Houston.
The next Stand Down event will be in Orange on May 15th at the Convention Center. And according to Silsbee Police Chief Sean Blackwell, when 33-year-old Darius Hagan was arrested for a vehicle burglary on North 5th Street, investigators recognized him as the same person who was seen on video burglarizing the public library on 2 different occasions. He says the arrest has cleared 4 auto burglaries, 2 building burglaries, and a felony criminal mischief case. And a Jasper man was killed after being hit by a pickup truck on Highway 63. It happened near County Road 109 as he was walking on the shoulder. According to DPS, the 64-year-old driver of the truck and his 9-year-old passenger weren't hurt. The 56-year-old victim was pronounced dead at the hospital. We've had yet to learn his name or whether any charges will be filed. And those were your headlines from Southeast Texas.
I'm Ayana Aird, and here are your East Texas news headlines. Friends and family are remembering a Smith County woman killed in a crash on Toll 49 this past Thursday. They say Tina Loper was a light of their lives, someone who loved deeply and brought people together. Here's how loved ones want her to be remembered.
They're paralyzed with grief, and she has a huge loving family. And I wish I could just wrap my arms around each one of them.
Tina Loper was killed in a crash on Toll 49 Thursday after Texas DPS says an 18-wheeler failed to control its speed and collided into the back of Tina's Subaru.
Tina traveled a lot because of her job, and I travel that road, and I think about it every time. And it's just tragic. It is just tragic and senseless, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Tina's best friend, Jan Carter, says Tina was someone everyone loved, bubbly, kind, and someone who never met a stranger. When Jan got the news, she couldn't believe it, especially after talking to Tina just the day before.
My world just stopped. I immediately just felt a weight on me because a light had gone out, and I just couldn't believe it. Yeah, this is Tina's 60th surprise birthday party. Yeah, her family gave her a big surprise birthday party.
A light, friends say, that meant everything to her family and the people around her.
Because she was such a special person.
With a special love.
And she just loved like no one else can love. And all of us loved her so much, and you don't get that. You just don't get that with most people, but with Tina, you got that. You got that special love from her.
A mother of 3, family was Tina's heart and soul. From family trips to every holiday, she made time with her loved ones a priority.
Like at Christmas, she put on, you would think it's going to be a national event because she planned everything down to a T for her family.
Creativity was also a part of who she was. Tina was known as a talented scrapbooker and crafter, someone who could turn just about anything into something beautiful. She passed away just before a crafting retreat she was looking forward to.
I tried to keep up with her for a while, and then finally I realized, okay, Jan, you're just going to have to let Tina move ahead, and you just do your basic skills and enjoy her talent, because that's how she did. She was so exceptional in her art.
But more than anything, friends and family say it's her heart that they'll remember most.
Past tense with Tina, that's going to be the hardest thing.
A loss that leaves a hole, but also a legacy of love.
So fascinated by getting a hold of the sloth, but she held the sloth. You can't lose someone like Tina and ever be okay. They will never be okay. I just hope that they use their memories to maybe soften and know that they will see her again someday.
For CBS 19, I'm Ayana Aird. And the Texas Department of Public Safety has identified the woman killed in a 2-vehicle crash near Love's Lookout on Tuesday as 50-year-old Candace Martin of Jacksonville. DPS crews responded to that crash at 4:30 p.m. on U.S. Highway 69 near County Road 3432. Sergeant Chris Williamson says a Chevrolet Malibu was traveling southbound while a Volkswagen Jetta was heading northbound on the highway. Officials say the driver of the Malibu was traveling at an unsafe speed, causing the vehicle to hydroplane into oncoming traffic and collide with the Jetta. Martin, who was driving the Malibu, was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the Volkswagen Jetta was transported to a Tyler hospital for treatment. DPS says their condition remains unknown at this time, and the investigation is ongoing. Well, that's a wrap for East Texas News Headlines. I'm Ayana Aird.
Texas News Now is sponsored by Germania Insurance.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.